Hello again. I want to talk this morning about the idea that anybody who believes that there may be inherent differences between ethnic groups is automatically attempting to place those populations in a hierarchy, with one at the top and another at the bottom. This notion is often advanced by those who would prefer that we ignore the evidence and adhere instead to the accepted worldview. Let me give one example, although there are, of course, many more. I have examined before on this channel evidence from people who claim that there might be differences in the average intelligence of various groups, with those from East Asia typically having higher IQs than white Europeans. This is immediately claimed to be an attempt to rank human populations in a hierarchy, with white people at the top and black people at the bottom. And there are 2 points to consider. If we were to arrange ethnicities in such a hierarchy, then according to the available evidence, Chinese people, rather than those of white European heritage, would be at the top in such a league table. The second point is that even assuming that it were true that the average IQ of different ethnicities varied by a few points, this wouldn't really make one group superior to another. I often meet people who are more intelligent than I am. Some of them are white, some black, and others Indian or Chinese. Do I regard those people as being superior to me because their IQs happen to be higher than mine? Hardly. Do any viewers think that intelligence is the most important human characteristic and that clever people are in some way superior to average people, who are in turn superior to those whose wits are a little duller? Does anybody think in this way and categorize those they meet accordingly? I very much doubt it. It is easy enough to demonstrate that this is nonsense by just looking at something like dating sites. You really will not see people giving their IQs in their profiles on such places and saying that they will only go out with those whose IQ is 140 or over, or saying genius preferred when looking for someone to go out with. It would candidly mark that person out as being a bit of a weirdo, really. Instead, people seek as partners those who have a good sense of humour, people who are compassionate and kind, those with an interest in this subject or other, perhaps people who are left-wing or right-wing in their political views, who are vegetarians or Christians. All these features of a human personality are far more important than intelligence, at least to the average normal person. I can readily imagine dividing up the human race into those cultures which are Christian and those which follow Islam, or those which are liberal and humane and others which are repressive and cruel. These are what matter. In other words, the idea of creating or subscribing to the idea of a hierarchy of ethnicities with some superior and others inferior according to what IQ tests tell us about those human populations strikes me as mad. I don't believe anybody does it. It is entirely possible that such differences in average intelligence do exist, although of course this is far from certain. If they did, then it would be an interesting intellectual exercise, and one in which I've engaged here on this channel, to tease out the possible implications and observed historical consequences of such differences. But that's very far from claiming that this group or that is superior and another lot inferior. All else apart, we are dealing with averages, not absolutes. Even if such differences were real and measurable, they would only tell us what was going on at the extreme points at either end of the scale, say about the proportion of geniuses in some ethnic group. Most people, black, white, and East Asian, would still lie within the range of average intelligence. In short, I'm aware that there are such people as white supremacists, but I have never encountered one. Certainly in Britain the term is a pejorative one and reserved as a means of smearing those of us who ask too many questions about immigration and diversity.